This is Max Blumenthal. Oh, sorry, this it's still got the green screen on the thing of there. Here we go. Open this up. Whoops, sorry. Um, he was on Jimmy Dore's show, and apparently there was a huge deal. He got to speak at the UN, and well, I'll show you. We'll just
we have special guests with us, Max Blumenthal, the award-winning 51-day. Yeah. Become a successful comedian, meaning you become
a successful. I know you're truly a successful comedian when Jimmy is stealing your jokes after you're dead.
Good. That's how I would.
Okay.
Anyway,
okay. So
talking points on the Ukraine war. That was very nicely done.
Why are we doing this? Why are we tempting nuclear annihilation by flooding Ukraine with advanced weapons and sabotaging negotiations at every turn?
Yeah, we didn't, and we're not. And which country invaded who? When did that happen? Who actually attacked? Just curious, if you know.
We've been told by people like Senator Dick Durbin that Ukraine is literally in a battle for freedom and democracy itself. And therefore, anyone who opposes military aid to Ukraine opposes the very defense of democracy, according to this logic.
Well, I would go further than Dick Durbin would. I would say that you are an acting stooge of authoritarian powers. By the way, that you are doing from within the safety of a democracy you do not think will be affected by it. It's worse. You're not attacking democracy because you're not attacking it here. You're just using the fact that you live in a democracy to attack people who are being attacked by folks that attack people who are in a democracy who are being attacked by authoritarians that you support. So much as it doesn't affect your life, except to enrich it.
So where's the democracy in Vladimir Zelensky's decision to ban opposition parties?
The LPR and the DPR are not opposition parties. They are sock puppets of the Russian government.
Criminalize the media outlets of his legitimate political opponents. To
what define legitimate political opponents?
Jail his top political rival and his deputies. To raid Orthodox.
I don't know. Ask Navalny.
Churches and jail clergy.
Yes, to raid Orthodox churches and jail clergy just because he doesn't like Christianity.
Where is the democracy?
Where's the democracy in Putin using churches to attack other countries?
In the Ukrainian government's imprisonment of Gonzalo Lira, an American citizen, simply for challenging the official narrative of Ukraine's war.
Is that what he did? Did he just attack the narrative? Or did he specifically give away positions of human beings that were and put them in the line of fire?
And where is the democracy in Zelensky's recent decision to suspend elections in 2024 on the grounds that martial law has been declared?
I don't know. Churchill did the exact same thing. And so
the answer is that Ukrainian democracy is harder to find these days than that country's commander-in-chief, Valery Zaluzhny.
Tough crowd.
That country's commander-in-chief, Valery Zaluzhny.
Yes, and a bunch of vassal states.
Yeah, so they're enjoying the fact that he didn't get much of a response. And Jimmy likes the idea that he tanked in that room or that he was talking shit. Now, wait. How did he end up there, though? I mean, we've always wondered, I think a lot of us, like, how do you get access to that? How does somebody like Max Blumenthal, other than the fact that he's a child of the legacy of legacy media, which has given him, a leg up to create the gray zone, funding for which, who knows where it comes from.
Yeah, it was like a... Oh, yeah, Phipps, Mr. Phipps.
Not very diplomatic.
No, you challenge him slightly and he starts melting down. And
oh, by the way, he starts bitching about people reacting to him as if they're not reacting as real people, that they're just melting down, that they're just losing their shit, that they are becoming unhinged. It's sort of akin to the misogynistic idea of, women get emotional instead of going, it's about a dead kid. You know what I mean? Where they take a real situation and then they castigate someone for their emotional reaction to it or their philosophical or ethical problems or moral problems with what you're doing and say that that's just an attitudinal spike. That's the case he's making here. Nobody has a problem with what Max and Jimmy are saying because they actually have a problem with it. They have it because they're, emotionally exaggerating sociopaths, I guess, or psychopaths.
Attacking me as a trust-funded, Russian-funded evil doer, I guess.
Yeah, I think they all apply. Yeah.
He said I was a rich boy who took a mysterious trip to Moscow. That was his response. So,
well, if you were rich and you took it, why would you take a trip to Moscow?
Exactly. I wouldn't need
Why would you need Moscow's money?
No, you're mistaken. There, first of all, a trust fund kid running off that needs to make their own fortune too. That's why he went there. Very few rich people are satisfied with the riches that they are born with. Except Donald Trump, I guess, who got his dad's money and then burned it to the ground.
Exactly. So it was just a bizarre tweet that was compiling a bunch of neocon lies and rumors instead of responding to anything I said. Any of the
what are the rumors true though? That's interesting. Lies are one thing, but if it's a rumor,
facts I deployed about U.S. aid to Ukraine, U.S. military aid to Ukraine, how it's escalating the conflict, and it really
and by the way, it's only escalating the concept, the conflict in so much as it is not allowing Russians to run roughshod over the people of Ukraine. And again, this is the equivalent of saying if you help a woman fight off her rapist, you're encouraging rape because that guy's just going to be more horny now because he didn't get laid. Fucking gross.
Really shows like there's really no point in British diplomacy. Like, it's just a front for U.S. and British military and imperial power. And Thomas Phipps, whoever this guy is,
yes. How could we bring ourselves to invade Russia like that?
Could have been replaced with like a pair of rotten dentures or some discarded.
Let's say a British thing about bad teeth from 1975.
Carton of haggis, and there would be
carton of haggis. Is he Scottish, or you just
no difference at all in British foreign policy?
So when you're given that speech at the UN, how many so you did have a few people on your side, but did people?
Yeah, who are those people?
Heckle you at all, or did they say stuff to you afterwards, or they tried to cut you off?
Yeah, I mean, it usually falls to some tool of the U.S. to insult the speakers.
Yes, some tool of the U.S. No one has their own thoughts. It's all the other. By the way, America doesn't deserve to be the imperial force that runs the entire world, but they do it accidentally anyways because no one has an original thought. Nobody could possibly have a problem with what Max is saying unless they had America's hand up their ass. That is the argument.
Moon River. If they're contravening the goals of the U.S. and
what's the goal of the U.S.? What's the goal of the U.S.? Did we have the goal to wipe Russia off the face of the earth when Biden came in? Was he running on that idea? Was the the potential for allowing Nord Stream 2 to go through? That was just part of a rope-a-dope that the Biden administration was hoping to destroy Russia. We were just focused on destroying Russia. We gotta destroy it. We gotta go. They gotta go. They're taking up all that land and they're not doing anything with it. We want to be able to farm that permafrost. Why? Well, honest to God, what's the argument? Is there a people's like a PNAC kind of Project for a New American Century plan to wipe out Russia that the Biden administration they've been pushing ever since Obama was in office? In which case, why the fuck didn't they do it when they invaded Crimea?
The most vicious delegation towards me was Albania, which is one of the only countries in the world where George W. Bush is still popular.
Oh my God.
There and in Kosovo.
By the way, I would like to say for the record that both of these two gentlemen defend Bashar al-Assad and the Syrian government, a country where Hitler still is on stamps. So, oh my God.
Oh, they have streets named after George W. Bush. Like, he gets a hero's welcome when he comes to Tirana. And it was weird. The Albanian delegation is sitting next to the U.S. and the U.S. has so much staff. They have like 20 people. And I couldn't tell the difference between the U.S. staff and the Albanian staff. And when the Albanian guy was reading out this a litany of denunciations of me and my friend Che Bose, who also spoke about the consequences of U.S. aid to Ukraine. It really felt like an American had read it, and the U.S. deputy ambassador was just
Had read it? He mean wrote it.
sitting there smiling while he read it.
Yeah, because he agrees.
And
they also think you're an asshole. Again, I don't know why this is supposed to be signs of a plot or subterfuge. It may come as a shock to Max and Jimmy, but there are lots of people, huge groups of them, that find both of them disgusting.
And the Ukrainian ambassador is very nasty too. He refers to.
Gee, I can't imagine why. Did you take him up on his offer to tour Bucha?
Russia as the Putin regime in the former seat of the Soviet Union. And he just spews insults, and
just insults, as opposed to, bombing their infrastructure.
Insulted a lot of previous guests, but he kind of left me alone. He was sitting right to my left, and so if you see in my speech, there's a section about Ukrainian democracy or the lack thereof, and I'm motioning to him, and I was trying to get eye contact with him to ask him why he has, for example, jailed Gonzalo Lira, who's a U.S. citizen, for simply criticizing the Ukrainian war effort on his blog. Why he's facing 11 years in prison for that. What kind of democracy would do that? But he and his staff refused to even make eye contact with me. Then the French ambassador, on the verge of massive riots engulfing France, called me a so-called expert. And then after the talk,
well, that was charitable, unless he was being, I don't know where the so-called part came in, because I don't even think it applies to the word expert.
I heard him
on, honest to God, on what?
Speaking to the Russian ambassador, and the Russian ambassador said, "So you didn't like the experts who spoke today?" And he said, "Actually, I wasn't even there to listen to them." So it was interesting to see just how fake the whole thing was. And then,
well, yeah, you were there. Now ask him how he got there.
And all the statements that were read out felt like they were from March 2022. Like they hadn't really updated their analysis on the situation at all.
And so how do you get an invitation to the UN?
Here it comes. You guys ready? You buckle in. Strap yourself in. Get ready.
Well, I was invited by one of the 5 permanent Security Council members, and I bet you can guess which one.
5 permanent Security Council members was invited by one of them. Who could it possibly be?
It was the Russian delegation.
Yeah. Hey, what are you surprised? All right, that's right. So Max Blumenthal was a guest at the UN to give a speech against Ukraine, and he was invited, and I suppose sponsored in the trip going there. I don't know. Is he in New York? Who cares? By the Russians. That's right. Yeah. So it's Max Blumenthal and Solovyev and Simonyan and Prigozhin and Putin now. They're all of one mind. Yeah. Let me, in case anybody's
from March 2022, like they hadn't really updated their analysis on the situation at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you get an invitation to the UN?
Well, I was invited by one of the 5 permanent Security Council members, and I bet you can guess which one. It was the Russian delegation.
Yeah.
We had previously hosted the deputy ambassador, Dmitry Polyansky, on the eve of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, just to get a Russian official on and say, what's your perspective on what's happening? Are you going to invade? What, what's
and what did he say?
Really going on here, to present people with the other side.
The other side, the side that said, no, we're not going to invade. This is just an exercise. And you credulously put them on the air and have been gargling their balls ever since.
I think that's part of our job. And so I knew him, but I was...
You knew that he had come on your show and lied to your fucking face?
Put forward by my friend Randy Credico, who is also a comedian and a human rights activist, helped end the Rockefeller drug laws in New York. And he had been to...
Yeah, Max doesn't know why Jimmy's laughing.
He really did.
I know. It's just ironic. Anyway.
Why is it ironic?
It's funny,
No, it
I
isn't.
guess. Anyway,
No, it isn't.
he got to know.
Jimmy literally didn't know why he was laughing. He was laughing at Rockefeller drug laws. He thought that was the punchline. Because Jimmy doesn't write any of his own jokes, so he doesn't know how jokes work.
Polyansky because he went to the Donetsk People's Republic, which is this separatist republic that's been shelled by Ukraine since 2014, been in a civil war with Ukraine. And when,
can't have a civil war with the country you're not a part of. So nice of you to admit that it is a part of Ukraine. Oops.
In order to get permission to get in there, I think, he just somehow came into contact with him. So that's how I got in there. I just got an invitation. I met the Russian ambassador for like 5 minutes beforehand, had very little contact with them at all, actually.
Yeah, well, they knew you were on the team.
And then they just brought me in the room, and all of a sudden this extremely uncomfortable chair was wheeled out for me and nameplates were put down. I got them right here.
Yeah, you want a souvenir from your warmonger apology tour?
That was kind of amazing. They just put down
it was so cool
nameplates and said Max Blumenthal talk. And I was told I had 12 minutes, and I went on for 12 minutes as fast as I can, like auctioneer style, tried to pack in as many facts as I could. And at the end of my 12 minutes, the chair of the meeting scolded me for going over time. I think I went over time by 15 seconds. And the reception has been incredible, just an overwhelming reception.
Oh, yes, overwhelming.
From around the world. It's been translated into Italian, Polish, Japanese.
Yeah, really? So the Russians brought an apologist in to speak at the UN, and then it just magically got translated? Gee, it's almost like there's a well-oiled machine of propaganda over there or something. Yeah, so anyway, gang, that's the vast majority of that shit. I just wanted to like throw that in, like, holy shit. Like the inability to reflect on the fact that you are being invited to speak sight unseen at the UN on behalf of Russia, and they don't even have to check what you're going to say because they know you toe the line. Again, and if you're talking about people who you're not allowed to talk outside the lines, or you're not allowed to buck the narrative on Ukraine, well, for the record, Jimmy does his show from LA and Max Blumenthal does his show from wherever the fuck he is, and neither one of them have a problem spouting whatever the fuck they're going to put online. None of it's getting shut down. None of them are in fear of getting arrested. But let's just say, let's send them over to Russia for a week and let them say anything that goes against the narrative that Russia wants them to talk about with any consistency, instead of just like a wink and a nod stuff, whatever they let them do once and never again. Or even China, for that matter. Go do your show from there for a month. Show us all. Impress us. Thrall me with your acumen. Right? I would recommend a couple of things. One, do your show on the first floor of whatever building you're in and only take a first floor apartment or hotel room. If you see anybody approaching you with a spray bottle, I would avoid them. Might want to even wear one of those like plastic visor masks all the time. Fucking stunning. And the amount of just gullible support for Russia on the premise that, the West is full of propaganda and bullshit and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, like I said, running their show from here, from the safety of the United States. I find to be the most amazing part of it. Because let's be abundantly clear. Max said what he said about, Ukraine at the UN in New York City, which in and of itself is proof that he is benefiting from freedom and democracy. That even he is allowed to be a raging piece of shit apologist for war criminals on purpose. Not even like, and let's be abundantly clear. The problems I have with the Bushes and the Cheneys, for example, and my criticisms of them, I wouldn't have run interference for them. But I also know that there were people who worked in that administration who thought the fear of Islamic terrorism or what have you was so bad that it warranted the extremity of their behavior. I disagree. I think it's wrong. And I also thought it was counterproductive. But I could believe that some of those folks at least bought in on it. All right. I don't believe Max has bought in on that level of sort of naive commitment on the part of the Russians, that they're like, oh my God, NATO's going to run roughshod over us. We just want to be a country. The Ukraine's full of Nazis. What are we supposed to do? Like, I do not believe for a second that Max Blumenthal and quite frankly, I don't think Jimmy Dore thinks past the end of his fucking nose anymore. But I don't think Max or Aaron Mate believe that for a fucking second. I don't think they think any, like Shoigu, there's no one in Putin's government at all that I think they could legitimately point to and go, I think this person's just scared that we're going to attack Russia. Because they would literally, as they said the sentence, feel an abundance of idiocy coming out of them. They can spew vitriol and the like, but, looking gullible or stupid, it's better to look vile to them than it is to look gullible or stupid, I guess. And so they would at least have that moment. I'm assuming, I don't know either of them personally. I don't know that they care. Maybe they don't give a shit because they do look all of the above, but I think in their own mind, they don't think they do. That's the clarification I would make. Jimmy Dore always looks like a liquor store clerk to you. Yeah, he looks like he works at a porn shop. Don't ask me how I know that. It reminds me, it's because he reminds me of the guy who was, remember they interviewed people who ran the shop next to Four Seasons Total Landscaping? Remember that? There was a crematorium on one side and a porn shop on the other, and they interviewed the guy who worked there. That dude dressed like Jimmy. I was very distinctly like, when's Jimmy's shift? So I just think that stands out. Because I don't believe it's one thing to be, a gullible, vile piece of shit, which I think arguably Jimmy Dore is. I think he's just he's definitely lying about some people. He's definitely lying about Bernie and other folks or whatever, just selling what he has to sell. But some of the other stuff, he says it so often, and he's been confronted with facts that refute it so many times that he's just got to be thick. That's the only reason. He's just thick. Max isn't thick. Max is selling something. Max is on the side of whoever will tear down the system that he, clings to like a tick on a dog. Yeah. But I will say this, and I can say it very comfortably, at least especially in the interim, while Vladimir Putin runs Russia, there is zero fucking chance that Jimmy Dore or Max Blumenthal or Aaron Mate or any of those fucks will even temporarily move their show to Russia and report live from the safe bosom of Mother Moscow or St. Petersburg or something. Even from fucking Sochi or some shit. I mean, if I was them, I wouldn't. But then if I was them, I would also be dumber than I am. So maybe I would. But the point is, none of them are going to do that. Both of them and their entire support structure, from the Gray Zone and everybody at Jimmy's show, are going to shit on the United States as the most vile force for violence and hatred and evil on the planet, while Jimmy lets the FAA guide other planes in the air as he flies to comedy gigs, crosses city after city using traffic lights laid out by the tax dollars of his fellow Americans, to roll into comedy clubs that exist, to say whatever people want to say, no matter what. And if they can be socially canceled because people don't like them anymore, at least the government can't step in and lock them up for what they say ever. And in those gigs and on his show, and same with Max, they will defend Russia's system to the grave, a grave they never expect to be standing in, getting a face full of dirt. While at the same time, calling anybody who believes that a sexual assault victim should have the right and the ability to fight back, and the suggestion of marrying them to their attacker is a morally abhorrent idea. They will make fun of folks like me that believe that of them. That said, let me show a second, run real quick. Do we do? I don't even know how long this fucking thing is. It can't be that long. Yeah, it's got to be it. Okay. Here's something. Here's something short. Let's see if this. I got to turn this up. Wait, why is it? Huh. Well, the audio doesn't work on that anyway, so I guess that's it. That's the show for tonight. Sorry, somehow the audio on the possible clip I was going to do. So I would like to remind you all that I'd like you to continue to criticize our government and our society and work to make it better, and also not take for granted the good things about it and try to expand on those things while we minimize the bad shit, like fucking adults. And every time you get up in the morning and optimistically put one foot in front of the other, and recognize that all greatness in life comes from incremental, bit-by-bit change, that you perhaps at some point have a wee bit of contempt that you allow to bubble up for the Jimmy Dores of the world, and I guess how TYT envisions they used to be. As people, who sell the idea that if it doesn't happen like a pancake flip, it's all bullshit. Because fuck those people. And I love you guys, and take care of yourself, and keep up that optimistic stoicism. We're going to be all right. Okay, all right. I'll see you later. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And remember, if you're ever confronted with a choice that you believe is the lesser of two evils, choose less evil.